for our pre-agenda workshop. Please call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Here for change.
Albrecht.
Here.
Mayor Bailey.
Here.
Mr. Wallace.
Here.
Mr. Putnam.
Here.
First item is the banners, Ms. Hall.
I have talked to Philip and about the polls. I would like to ask for 15, which we said about $200. So that would be about $3,000 if we can find it, perhaps. Since it's for the beautification and recreation of the city, maybe we can find it in the Parks and Recreation money. So I guess that's my 2 cents tonight, and then we could discuss or whatever and vote next week. But I think we can take the money out, maybe I shouldn't say I think because I don't read the books, but maybe we can take it out of Parks and Rec.
Impact fees. 39,000 is the balance in the impact fee account.
I think that's fine with me. It goes with the recreation of the city. And as long as the banners are consistent with some sort of activity.
Well, we were thinking of patriotic from Memorial Day till Labor Day or Veterans Day. Those are the stock ones. If you want to go beachy, they're more expensive. But the stock patriotic ones are $78, $80 a banner for the size that we need.
In any case, we would need to have a budget amendment for that, yeah, which could be put on the next agenda. Oh, it's got to be advertised longer than that?
Well, first reading will be next week.
Yeah, first reading.
Well, let's open up, I'm just curious, I wasn't here at the meeting, would this open up for possibility of businesses or so forth periodically?
I can't hear you.
Okay, would this open up for businesses periodically wanting to put business banners? I know there've been times that there's been festivals, people have wanted to put up banners, and the city have said no on that. Is this going to affect that in any way?
No, what we were talking about last week was the fact that it's been on the agenda 2 years.
Yeah.
It's a scenic thing. We've got about 45, give or take, locations in a 3-year project of putting up a portion 3 years.
And we might
For
put up,
summer.
yeah, we might put up 15 this year and say, you know what, we don't want any more. This is fine. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
you know, we don't need it on every pole. It might become overwhelming. So, but would it other businesses or activities? I don't know.
I think, I wouldn't necessarily be in favor of that. This is a city
Beautification.
beautification. And that's where it would go if we got a beautification grant.
And then does the 200 include the hardware and the banner?
Yes, it's
Okay.
78 for the flag and about 80 for the hardware that we have to buy from them. But then Philip has to buy bolts because they're wooden poles. They can't be the clamp on
Gotcha.
that the company sells. So we just rounded it off to 200 apiece.
Okay.
I would also add that the idea of maybe having private parties having banners, I would definitely discourage that. There have been some recent cases, in particular Supreme Court case, that makes it very, very hard to say yes to some folks and no to others.
We also have an ordinance that says you can't have banners like strung between trees. I happened to notice one on the way here tonight. That's a different kind of banner. This is more of a flag.
Okay.
Other discussion?
What was the total amount of the amendment?
3,000.
I know that Philip is not here. For those of you who are missing Philip tonight, he had a serious medical call today. Prayers for his wife and him personally would be much appreciated. Did anybody bring the Canal Electrical Service issue other than myself know what he's talking about? I can take it. Please.
during the process of meeting with the ship captains and the public and everything, it had been established all along that the 50 amp service at the canal would be the way to go. All of a sudden now, the captains are saying that they only need 30 amp services. And if you know anything about the plugs, the 30 amp and 50 amp plugs are two completely different things. So the question is, do we spend $11,500 to change out all the services out there, which I don't think is a good idea, or we can have the ship captains purchase a little pigtail, for lack of a better term, which could plug into the 50 amp plug, which would have a 50 amp plug on the end of that and a 30 amp plug. So it's a simple fix, $150, and then they're good to go.
I have an opinion on this area, having been a ship captain myself. The bigger boats tend to require 50 amp services. The smaller boats tend to require 30s. A lot of bigger boats actually require two 30s. Well, you can accomplish that by a 50 amp connection with two 30 amp pigtails to hook into their power cords. Having more power than we need is better than having a 30 amp service that somebody may need a 50 when they come in to power their boats. It's not that they're going to live on the boats, it's that they have electrical systems that are just wired that way. You can, I guess what I'm saying, you can always go down, but you can't go up. And we were at the top, so pigtails, I saw one with a twin pigtail on it that was listed at $150. They're a lot cheaper than that other places. Go to an RV place, I mean, they're like 25 bucks. I've got one myself for my 50 amp camper, so I can plug it to a 30 amp main. So it's not that big a deal. I'm not in favor of degrading the electrical service as installed, especially for more money.
I agree. I mean, we agreed on the 50 amp, whether it was the right or not, it's been done. And to spend $11,000, $12,000 to change it, I would say no.
I would say no.
Go ahead.
I would say no too. I mean, it's a simple fix.
Me too. I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry. We're not going to change it. Planning and zoning recommendations, Mel?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. There were two items on the agenda for last night. First item was the consideration of pools in the front yard variance for Mr. DeLallo at 614 East Highway 98. The Plan and Zoning Board recommended denial of the request 4-0. So you'll be considering that next week, Tuesday night, for yourselves for final approval or denial. Second item was the commercial development order. I'm sorry, the major development order for the Malerba subdivision from Toucans behind Paradise Shores. There was some discussion about the size of the lots being smaller than what is in the neighborhood, but in the end, the Plan and Zoning said that they couldn't find where that went against the LDR, so they approved that for nothing as well. So that will come before you as well next week. They did make another request during the miscellaneous section, which was they would like for the city council to consider make a change in the LDR to make the minimum lot sizes larger, whatever that size would be. They didn't determine what that would be, but they think the time is right to have minimum lot size.
Did they think that would make their job easier?
They didn't deliberate very much on that at all.
It would be a subject that would need a lot of conversation.
It would. It's not an easy fix.
The smallest legal lot in town that I know of is 30 by 40 feet. And it has a legal building on it. But it is small. And it's in the 400 block of Mexico Beach. But in the first tier in the 400 block. So to go from that to just to go over the hill to 75 by 112 is a big leap. I know that this Malerba subdivision is down there and abuts against that. Pardon me for calling it weird, but between Oleander and Fortner, most of us know that those lots years and years ago were divided haphazardly. For example, a 50 by 100 lot that faces Florida, and it has got units on both sides of him. So with a 20-foot front setback and a 10-foot rear setback, he can only build a building 20 foot wide on that lot, which is impossible, virtually impossible. So that's why his mobile home is still sitting there. It's just about undevelopable the other way. But I don't have a problem with talking about that in the future for life.
Could you clarify what will be coming before the council soon? Is it a plat? Is it development order? I wasn't clear.
Development order.
And there's two things you should have on the agenda at this point. The public hearing for the variance, and then the vote, and the public hearing for the Malera, and the vote. Anything else?
I did alert them to the fact that in all likelihood, at next Tuesday's meeting, the city council would approve the medical marijuana moratorium, and that it's the job of planning and zoning to work on locations where those dispensaries or retail outlets would be allowed. So I instructed them to look at the current liquor section for the placement of liquor establishments in the city as a starting point to look at, to see if that might be a starting point for discussion next time.
So you could buy a joint and a bottle?
No.
I understand. State regulated
Exactly.
dispensaries, I got it, okay. Right.
And that's it.
Okay. The monthly financial report. It's good to see Black Bean.
All right. The reason this is on here today instead of next week is I won't be here, so I thought if there's questions, I would do it a week early. Total expenses for the year so far is $2,520,545.52, with total revenue at $1,557,608.87. This is again all the pass-through money that's going on. There's the breakdown of all the expenditures on the first page. If you go to the second page, you'll see our cash balances. General fund operating is back in the positive. I have shifted some of those reimbursements when they've come back in. They've been recorded against that. I've also closed out the City Hall project. Since we are spending that money, it's been coming out of our general fund, so I closed out that reserve account and transferred all that money into the general fund. All the due to, due froms are closed, so this is an accurate representation of the general fund, water, sewer, and sanitation operating funds, as there is nothing outstanding in due to, due froms. All the transfers for last year are complete. The audit showed up last Monday. Surprise. I knew they were coming, just didn't know when, and usually get a week notice, and they just showed up on Monday. I think we are done. I spoke to Mr. Vance yesterday. He didn't want to say for sure if they were done and to put everything away, but he does not think they will be back, but they need to regroup and see if there's anything else they need to look at. Leave no trace ordinance was certified last week at the Secretary of State's office. Their copy that they sent back to us isn't back yet, but it should be end of this week, beginning of next. And we move from the audit into budget time. So, if anybody has any budget requests for next year, I'm starting to collect them to start drawing stuff up. And that's all I have.
Questions about that? Moving right along. Miscellaneous, I'd like to start. The concerned citizen reported to me this week that there are people coming to City Hall and getting their vehicle permit stickers for the boat ramp. These are residents, and they're taking them and putting them on their golf carts. Folks, just to save $15, if you get caught with the wrong serial number on the wrong thing, I guarantee it's going to be more than $15. But you always have folks gaming the system. I'd like to remind everybody of the game we discovered at the boat ramp last year, where we ran out as you know, there is an envelope and a slip together. They go together. But when you end up with nothing but envelopes in the box and all the slips are gone, they took them off and put them on their windshields without paying for the $10, the boat ramp fee. I can't understand that either. It's a very low amount to use the boat ramp, but we're going to watch that more closely this year. I spoke with the drafter of Leading of Trace, primarily about commercial properties on the beach. Before they wrote their ordinance, they did due diligence by contacting the Corps of Engineers and the Department of Natural Resources about moving items back to the dune. This was something that was talked about last Tuesday by the contractor at Panama City Beach. They specifically did not put anything in there like that because DNR recommended that we not do that. Previous discussion here in the council has said that we should not do that because it causes beach erosion, that anything on the beach should be removed. I further discussed commercial entities operating on the beach. It was their intent to have them take everything off the beach every night. Not move it to the dune, not move it to the wall, but take it off. That was their intent. This is something that we're going to have to address sooner than later. I've got some pictures I didn't have a chance to put up tonight, but the only problem we actually have on the beach here in early March is two of our commercial establishments on the beach have furniture out there that's either being stored in the dune or left on the beach. I've personally spoken with Hector, asked him to come up with some sort of viable alternative. He was not amenable to that. So we're going to have to discuss it and decide. This council can certainly make an exception to policy, but it's only with the council's approval that Hector's on the beach to start with. So we're going to have to address that. We've never had a Leave No Trace ordinance. The last thing I'd like to talk about in this category is beach patrol. I've actually spent 5 days out there on beach patrol, talked to a lot of folks, talked to a lot of visitors, talked to a lot of residents. I've had no pushback about Leave No Trace by the people I have talked to. Some are disappointed, especially the tent people. They're disappointed that they have to move everything back off the dune and off the beach. Because to me, the dune is the beach, since it's prohibited to go on the dune anyway. So it's the same thing. Again, people have spoken about this, and we're going to have to address that. I'll stop there. Other miscellaneous.
Mr. Britton is here tonight. You have all signed a letter of support for the TAP grant, which is the sidewalk improvements for Highway or Road 15th Street. I'd like for Jeff to mention a couple things about that, if you could give him a minute, please.
Good evening, Jeff Britton, Dewberry Engineers. I've got letters, generic letters that residents can sign to show their support for the project as well. The more participation we get to submit, the better the application is going to look. So I've got 20 copies with me today. If anybody's interested in signing them to include in the package, just get with me. I've got a couple pens. We can get them filled out and submitted. So application is due by Friday this week to West Florida Regional Planning Council. Then the project will be ranked and submitted to DOT from there sometime in April. So, all right.
Could you update us about the canal schedule now?
The canal schedule? Sure. It's looking like the canal is going to be wrapped up around the end of April at this point, which puts it outside of the dates as represented in the contract, the 365 days for substantial completion and 365 days for readiness for final payment. According to the contract, those dates were to begin on January 4th, 2016, which would mean substantial completion, which is just about everything's done, but you do a walkthrough and notice a couple of items that need to be touched up, or there's a couple of lingering items that need to be finished. So that was supposed to happen by January 3rd, and then final completion by February 2nd. However, we've had 16 days lost to weather, so that typically would extend it another 16 days. That puts you at February 18th. The change order that was approved in the January meeting, where we had to order the sheet pile by the end of January, so it would be here by the end of February, beginning of March. That adds another 6 weeks to that schedule, and then 2 weeks to complete that work once those sheet piles come in. So that should add another 8 weeks to the schedule. And then there's a couple other small change orders that have been accomplished during the life of the project, and a couple more that are going to be finished up once we're able to quantify them. Things like Duke Energy's efforts for a cost on the east-west run, and then balancing out the allowance that we had for that on the project. So
And the sheet pile is now expected on Friday, is that correct?
that's correct. That's correct.
And the close dates on the canal are,
I talked to Bill a little while ago. He wasn't planning on getting started on that till at least Monday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Correct.
The captains were concerned about that for the weekend.
And he was adamant to point out that, yeah, the canal will be closed during the day while they're working, but they're going to pull the barge out of the way in the evening. So somebody wanted
There
to...
could be traffic then past the barge in the evening.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. If that changes, I'll certainly let you know.
But technically, we're kind of closing off the mouth.
Correct. You plan on it being closed.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
That's assuming we have good weather next week.
Yeah, I'll arrange that. The other important factor in all this is our dredge. It's completed. It's supposed to be inbound on Thursday to arrive on Friday, and we'll likely have to drill our way into the canal because it's, George, you're right there. Did it close on up today?
It's closed, pretty much.
It's very shallow when I was down there earlier. So, yeah, we know we're going to have to dredge our way into the canal. It's going to be a 7-day-a-week operation as soon as the dredge gets here. And we're going to, how do you put that, Mel? Something.
Dredge, baby, dredge.
Dredge, baby, dredge, until there's no dredging needed to be done. Yeah, I got it.
So instead of Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week, it will be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, and the barge will be there?
This coming, yeah, this,
That's the schedule.
Okay.
yeah, that steel was still in Ohio this morning, but it's supposed to get on a truck for the 2-day trip down here to arrive on Friday. Anything could happen for a day, but it still may get here Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So
Okay.
he's planning on a Monday, I think. Any other miscellaneous?
Can we go back to leave no trace? I guess, when are we going to discuss, or when are we really going to get to the meat of whether the businesses such as Hector, if we're going to allow them to leave their wares on the beach? Because if this is supposed to go into effect right away, I think we need to have our ducks in order rather than in a month start to say, oh, by the way, we need to take care of the businesses because people are complaining or they're not complaining. At least we have an answer. The other thing is, I think we need to talk about how we're going to get it cleaned up, picked up. We have this one from Mr. Rogers, but, you know, time is moving. And if we don't talk about it now, we talk about it next week, but that's the voting meeting. And then if we put it off for another workshop, we're 3 weeks out. So I guess I would like to talk about his quote. If this is the time, if not, if we should put it off, that's fine.
No, I agree with you. I think it is time. It's in effect now. It's an issue that needs to be resolved.
You know, and if we go with this Mr. Rogers quote, if we go out for bid for it from the public, if anybody wants to do it, how involved is that, and do we have the time to do that this year? Whereas what I see on the paper that he sent, the price, I don't think is bad at all. We just have to decide how many days we want it done. What his recommendation was at least minimum 3, but how many nights do we need to pick up? And do we have the time to put it out to bid for the public? Because I'm sure you've had a couple people to say, hey, I'm interested. I've had a couple people say, hey, I'm interested. Let me know if they're going to put bids out. I'd like to bid on it. But in my mind, that's going to take a good month And do we have time this year to do that?
I think we have time. Write the specification and put the article out and let people build. But we got to know what they're doing. What's more important to me is how we would pay for it. And I'll tell the council now, I've requested some funding outside of our city to help us with this. And I won't know the answer to that until another day or two. If we can get that funding, then an outside contractor is a very viable alternative. If we don't get any help, that's a problem.
Well, CDC has never said that they won't do this. They have never been asked. And so everybody that I've talked to said, well, that's part of beach cleanup, and that's falls under the CDC umbrella. So maybe we need to take it upon ourselves to approach Kimberly from CDC. I know they have a meeting in a week and a half or 2 weeks, and see what they have to say. Because they have never been approached by it to pay for it. And they've never said, no, they won't, if we're asked.
Okay. Well, we've all said that through time, and we need to make a formal request. Would we like Ms. Albrecht to present that to the CDC? But we got to give her a number.
Right, we have to do a
We need
number.
to talk about the number part first, I guess,
Well,
before we can make a request.
yeah, this from Mr. Rogers, and Mel, help me if I'm incorrect, but he recommended it's 300 per night, his bid, and he said 3 nights per week minimum. So at 4 nights a week, I just threw 4 nights in, that's $4,600 a month. And if we did it May, June, July, and August, or whatever month we decided, $4,600 a month, if we did 4 nights a week. And then what, 4 nights? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday? Because I'm thinking that if we did 4 nights, the people that leave Saturday will go to the beach Friday. If they don't want to take their stuff home, they're going to leave it there. So that would be one, in my mind, one good night. Saturday, people are just coming in, and they need to be aware that we have this leave no trace. And the other thing is, he said he moves it back to the dunes the first night. I think we need to talk about that too. And then Sunday and Monday, and then we have the middle of the week. By then, I think people would realize that it's a no-no.
I think we should actually take it through Labor Day.
Okay?
What level of service are we looking for?
Well, the quote, he gave three services. The quote that I said, $4,600, was just to remove the leave no trace. Now, he talked about one quote for trash pickups, 70 trash cans per run, and then the grooming of the beach. That's another quote he gave you. But I was just looking at the removal of leave no trace, just because we're required to do that, and we need to move on it.
How many trash cans did we pick up last summer?
I don't know.
About 60-some trash cans on the beach.
How often did we pick those up?
We had our guys pick them up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, and then we had them also go out on the busy weekends on Saturday and Sunday.
So it adds up, that adds up. And the beach raking, we have a beach rake, but it generates seaweed, it generates trash, it generates everything, and that's another whole thing to pick up. Now, seaweed's always heavy, and at the scale, is where it gets us. They use this guy $500 per period for 18 miles. That's a lot of money, what they pay. And the county commission wasn't didn't remember that was correct, that they were still doing that. That they had thought that was too high, and the person I talked to thought they had taken that back over, but that's not the case according to the contract we saw. But we have facilities both to pick up the trash and rake the beach. And if we only contracted the leave no trace portion, I'd say we have to do it at least 4 days from Memorial to Labor Day at a minimum. Then that's gonna fall back on code to do it any other time. And his plate's already pretty full, but that's where it's gonna be. The only other choice is reserve officers to do beach patrol, and that's not pickup, that's just enforcement.
And that's saying that they can get off their other jobs.
So what he's quoting, 300, if we did it every night, 30, say 30 days a month, that's 9,000 a month.
You know, when you figure, though, Philip said he might need 2 more full-time people. If you add that, you add 2 full-time people at 40,000 apiece, while it sounds high, then it's a lot lower than hiring somebody. Now, I don't know, what I wonder is, you know, he's got a price here. If you cut the numbers down or anything, does that price stay the same? And then Mel and I talked today a little bit, why is leave no trace 300 and pick up trash 300 when they're there at the same time? Could we negotiate a little bit to get it down a little bit? I don't know.
I think I know the answer to that. They use a separate contractor to pick up the trash.
Gotcha. Okay.
Those other guys are on four-wheelers pretty much.
Okay.
Is
How,
there,
go ahead.
is there any difference in the picking up the material and not leaving it at the edge of the dune, which we don't want anyway, but that's what they're talking about?
I don't know if we can, you know, they say in Panama City, they put it by the dunes the first night. I don't know if, and I understand why they do it, to make sure everybody's aware of it. We say we can't put anything by the dunes. Do we want to make an exception and say one night only, just so people become aware of this year only?
I don't think so.
You know, I don't know. And you talked about the price. He did write the price listed may be reduced based on the amount of work awarded. So he may have a price reduction if we went with the trash pickup and leave no trace. There may be a price reduction.
But clearly at these numbers, we're gonna have to bid it.
That
No,
was my
I don't
comment.
think so,
I was gonna-
because they're under Bay County umbrella,
Good piggyback.
and we can piggyback on it.
Take it back off their contract?
Yes.
If they went through similar bidding procedures as what we would have done, yeah, we could do that.
And they did,
Well, I think
they
did.
sent their
It's just
RFP.
They did.
They're repeat contractors.
So we don't have to bid it out if we go with them.
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead.
You're asking perhaps leave things for one night at the toe of the dune. Our beaches are much narrower than Panama City's beaches, so we basically have very little, if nothing, between the toe of the dune and the water. And people have a tendency to toss it into the dune right there, thinking, you will hide if you toss it, which destroys, as you said, the toe of the dune. So I really don't see any point in trying to get people to leave it at the toe of the dune. Half the people don't even know what the toe of the dune is to begin with. So there's a big problem there. We just don't have that kind of space. So I would say, hey,
I think that at least at some point, the ordinances that Panama City Beach had actually provided for doing that at some times. If you wanted to have more of a warning mechanism in place that didn't result in maybe damage to the dune, you could always tag items for a couple days, saying this is going to be thrown away if this occurs again, without moving them around. That's probably easier than dragging stuff around, just to pick it up and throw it away a day or two later.
Again, the drafters of the ordinance said they specifically made our ordinance different than Panama City to protect the dunes. You know, we've talked about tags over and over and over and over again. Mel had some good news about the hangers. It is indeed, you can buy a little bit for this much, and you can buy a lot for just a little bit more. So that's not a big expense, and that's going to work out real well. But as I was out there, it was fruitless late in the afternoon when they already left, and they had their pile. If I didn't have something to put on it, and it didn't have to be anything other than leave no trace. You must have everything off the beach by 7. That's all they asked to say, really. And hanging on there, because the next day when they come, it's not there when they come back, if they do it 2 days in a row, or if they leave early. I'm still say that if we're gonna spend money, let's spend more money on prevention than the other side. I know we did leave no trace. Believe it or not, the bundles that I found on the beach were absolutely leave no trace. They were tight and tied together and clumped, and they were even brought. They really were at the toe of the dune. And luckily, the next days, I was able to catch these same people and explain to them that they couldn't even leave it there, and they were amenable to that. But no matter what the color card is, how many we get out, every realtor putting that bright card with the key, I really think it has some merit. I didn't see a lot of resistance out there to anything. There are a lot of violations on the beach, though. There are dogs out there, there was glass bottles out there, and the crowds aren't big yet. And they really just didn't know. Interesting, one guy asked me, can we drink on your beach? Yes, but you can't drink that Corona in your hand. It's like, okay, 1 for 1. But, and the tent that barked at me, and things like that. So,
The tent that barked at me.
I tend to bark at me. I wonder why it was turned down sideways. I know. But they appreciated people out talking to them. And I think the beach patrol is a good thing. I don't like the word ambassador. I like patrol. And explain to people that may be a little bit off color with their answers that, you know, I'm a courtesy patrol. But the guy who usually drives this 4-wheeler has a ticket book, and that's $50 for your dog on the beach, and that's not good. And I got immediate response, but it was kind. I don't want this leave no trace to put a bad image on Mexico Beach. I mean, it's the law, and we've got to deal with that. But I'm trying to soft sell it as much as I possibly can.
So what's our next step then? And with the signs, I'm thinking that the one from Panama City, they had whomever we choose to take care of it, their phone number was on the bottom of that. So if they have a problem, they contacted them and not the city. I'm thinking that maybe we should do that. That might alleviate a lot of problems. Just contact this person. And for the first couple of busy weekends, perhaps we can put it on the windshields of all the cars parked on 98, so that when they go back to their car, they see this, and then that might, oh, we've got to take it all off, period, if they haven't already. Just a thought.
I still like the idea of beach patrol.
Oh, I do too.
I don't think we should have ever stopped that whenever we stopped it. And it could be a pat you on the back of the hand beach patrol. Let people know what's going on, and the second time, you know, put them in jail. But let's be nice to them the first time around. And I think we need to have that. We need to have people take that away from here, that it's a friendly, hospitable place to vacation.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't quite understand the tagging. So if he takes the tent and moves it to the dunes, you put a tag on it? Is that what I'm getting?
I don't think we're gonna move it.
Not move it at all. Just simply tag it. Just hang the tag.
Yeah.
You're not taking nothing to do.
No.
No.
You
This-
just put the tag on, and then tomorrow,
If it's still there,
it's still
the truck
there,
gets it.
you take it off.
We talked about moving it to the dunes only because this is what he wrote up, because that's what they do in Panama.
Gotcha.
So that's the only reason it was mentioned.
I know Kimberly's working on rack cards for the renters. She's also got magnets she's ordered as well for the refrigerators. I'll order tomorrow from Willie at Ramsey's, the door hangers. We're going to get 5,000 of those things, so I have plenty to pass out. It may seem like a lot, but they're going to go pretty quick. by the time you pass them out to people on the beach, on the cars, and
Well, that's not too many by the time summer's.
exactly right. May have to order some more
I
later.
think so.
I really heard him close when he said they change visitors every week. You just have to start all over again
Right.
at the head of the week.
Is there any way to put are we gonna have beach patrol? I mean, we do?
Well, I'm very much in favor of
Okay.
somebody patrolling, whether it be by contract or by us.
Yeah, and that, I agree with you, it changes, you're going to have to educate every week. You know, it'd be hard to go up to every person there and let them know something. Is there any way we could have something on the four-wheeler, something that says this is a leave no trace?
A big magnet?
Yeah, just as you drive down the beach to let them know.
It's got a big box on the back of our four-wheeler.
The big house, I think that's the only place that it would actually be on that box.
Because, I mean, it'd be impossible to go up to everybody on the beach and let them know. It's not, you know, it'd be a good idea like you're doing now, but the crowds aren't here now. I agree a soft approach is good, but, we have leave no trace and we need to enforce it too.
So what do you want me to take to CDC? I'll go to Kimberly, and I'm sure Mel will talk with her as well. How many months and how many days, what are we looking at? And are we going to go with this company, or are we going to put it out for bid for the public too? I think we need to know that.
Adrian, I asked you about some numbers, and it was about $12,000 for how much labor, for how long? Do you remember?
It's 4 hours a day for 180 days.
Yeah, that's what it was. About 4 hours a day for 180 days. It's just a little over 10,000 or 12,000 for that. So that's literally 6 months of courtesy patrol. We could, for that price, we can nearly do it in addition to what these guys are doing.
What would be wrong with the city experimenting a bit to see how much it costs? Do we have, and I don't know if we have enough personnel to do a halfway up job of it when things are as slow on the beach as they are now. But I'd like to have some kind of idea, how much does it take specifically to do what we're doing, and then how much are we paying this guy from out of town to do it? I know we picked up garbage, but as far as watching leave no trace, we really have no experience with that on a daily basis. So I'd like to have some kind of idea of what it takes to do that job. I still think it's a lot of money.
Keep in mind that this is one cost right here, but when you are doing the leave no trace after dark, you're required to have a turtle person with you as well. That's an additional charge per hour.
What if we do it before dark? Do we have to have the turtle person?
Before dark, you would not, but, 7 o'clock, leave no trace time. It gets dark in the summers at best, 7:30, 7:45. You can't get the beach done in 30 minutes. So.
That's true.
Now, it's interesting to go down there and make this ride. I did night and day. At night, folks, there ain't anybody out there, period. What's left, you'll know what's out there. But I don't think necessarily that we need to pick up at 7 o'clock at night. We certainly don't now. It doesn't make any sense to bring in employees to go do that. If there was something that was abandoned, we would know it. And like I said, I took pictures of everything I saw, even at night. But we already are figuring out that we need to do it at least through the summer months, very intensely. The rest of the time, like right now, I never saw more than 300 people on the beach in 5 trips in one day. But I was thinking to myself, oh my God, when this goes times 100, this is a big problem. How you would even negotiate your way down the beach is going to be a real problem. As we have some beaches that are terribly narrow, other spots that are choke points. But
You'd have to pick up early in the morning.
If even if the Curtis Patrol tag stuff, if it wasn't occupied the next day, I mean, we could pick it up in the morning as far as that goes, the stuff that was left. And I know that we're back again to tags, but that simple bright tag hanging on that frame, if it was there and left the night before, it's still there the next morning, it was just left.
Now, when you
no
say
different.
tag, you're talking about the door next tags, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
nothing.
not a separate.
Nothing exhaustive, because you don't know who left it, you don't know who it belongs to, except the Yeti coolers, and we know who they belong to. But
You know, it worries me, we're talking about this group of people doing this group of people doing this group of, we don't even know what we're getting our feet into yet. So I really am for this year hiring somebody who knows what they're doing, because we have to get this going. Rather than, all right, the patrol can do this and somebody else can do this. And then if something's not done, who do we say didn't do their job? So, and I agree that 30 days in a month for some months is crazy. Here's an idea. If we did it 4 days, and I don't know if Mr. Rogers would go along with this, but 4 days a month, 4 days a week. So if we did it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then we had our people do it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, just go up early in the morning if we wanted to bring our people into it. So we could see, could they handle it? Can they do it? Is there enough stuff left on Tuesday through Thursday? And if so, maybe, I just worry that we have too many cooks in the kitchen
Yeah, I
trying to
like
do the
that.
one thing.
I like the idea of them doing it. They've done it before. They know what to do. Don't let them put them in the dunes. Just, do what they do. And when they do it, I mean, to say 7 o'clock, I heard him say they don't do it at 7, they do it at dusk. Just let them do it.
Well, we can learn from that
Well,
ourselves.
We can learn from, is that what you said? We
Yeah,
can learn from
we can
them,
learn
right?
from them.
This isn't a 5-year contract.
that's a viable
This is,
solution.
this is a 1-year contract or 5 months, whatever we decide to do. And
Use this year to learn how it's done. I mean, we're jumping in with all of our feet. You've got somebody, Mr. Rogers, keep wanting to say Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, I'm sorry. You have this guy who already knows this, he's got it down pat. Let him take the bulk of the work. We've got the city workers who are accustomed to doing the trash and the beach raking. Let them go ahead and do this and see how it works this year, what all the moving parts are. If it's a 1-year contract, then you can look at it. But you're doing great talking about it. It's great that it passed. Don't bite off more than you can chew right now and jump in over your head. Use the pieces that are out there. So if we can piggyback on Bay County and we don't have to go out for bid, use Mr. Rogers and have him do the leave no trace part, and then see how it works. Y'all may come up with some fantastic idea that changes the whole thing next year. You know, it's,
Actually, you kind of hit on a good compromise with me. I agree. These guys know what they're doing, and we can get the funding to hire them. Let them do that, and I think 4 days may be a good start. If it's not working, we may have to go to 5, but it has to be flexible, or if it's overkill, we would need to go to 3. I don't think it's going to be overkill at 4. I'm particularly thinking about trash mail. I know last July, they were out there every day. They were out there 7 days a week to get trash. And how in the world are you going to keep the beach clean if you don't empty the cans? So I'm not warming up to the idea of them getting trash just 4 days a week for a price beyond what we already are contributing. But we still could use some money from CDC or somebody, from bed tax money or somebody, to augment even what the city's having to outlay for the tourist. I mean, that's been an argument up here forever.
I mean, after all, it is the tourist that is causing the situation.
90% of it.
If we didn't have the tourists, we wouldn't have to clean up the beach.
And this city would be pretty dead.
Well, I know, but
It
the
would.
facts are facts.
It would.
So I think CDC should help us some, but I've always thought they should help us more than they have. But I now always will, probably.
But I can sign a certificate that half the houses in Mexico Beach are empty most of the time. That's a fact, and anybody who's campaigned lately, guarantee it's a fact. They're coming and going, and some of those, we call them tourists, but they're actually residents, taxpayers that live here, and they bring their families and come to the beach. And on and off, that happens. So, yeah, part of it's tourists, part of it's our own home folks that are paying taxes here, and they deserve the service as well.
Tom, did you say that you were interested in them doing some trash pickup, or no?
I really think we can kind of take care of trash pickup and beach raking this year. We've got a brand new tractor and a beach rake.
About snow in here.
We're gonna hang meat in a minute.
It feels good.
I agree with you, Tom. I think we could handle the trash. And if we can't handle it, doesn't work, then next year, we'll,
Look at
handle
it
that.
differently.
But
And this grooming,
leaving those trays is the thing right now. We've never done that.
this grooming charge won't be nearly that much, because
Grooming is what beach rake is.
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Yes. But it might be a good comparison number. What does it cost the city to do that? Yes, ma'am.
Can I say though that on Saturdays, that's probably not needed? Most of us locals love Saturdays.
Yeah.
Because they don't check in until 2 o'clock.
That's right.
And, I mean, Hector will even tell you that's his very slowest day. I think Saturdays is probably not a good day.
Okay, so you mean for Leave No Trace, not on Saturday?
Because see, everyone's checking out. No one can check in until 2 o'clock.
Okay.
So by the time they unload and they
I know what you
don't
mean.
have a lot of people. Now you help,
Right.
locals and all, but I mean, the tourists you're trying to educate.
What about people that let stuff on the beach at night and they went home on
Yeah,
Saturday?
that's true, I hadn't thought about that.
There is the largest realtor, I checked with the realtors, the largest flip day, the largest realtor with rentals is Pristine, and their flip's usually on Sunday. So that kind of throws a little,
Yeah, they went home Saturday morning, they'll just say, oh, I'll leave all that stuff on the beach, and that's what they do.
yeah, but absolutely Sunday, Monday, and
You have
Tuesdays.
the key to turn the air off, I'm freezing.
Adrian, tell her to go get a sweater, I'm comfortable.
It'll be nice next Tuesday, he won't be here.
Linda's on the hot seat, she said.
I'm comfortable.
When you move over this thing.
I feel it.
I have a question. I know some of you
Please.
delve into these issues more than I have, so maybe somebody's got to answer. But I know for Bay County and Panama City Beach, they use private service to pick up their trash cans. So adding on the Leave No Trace services makes sense. But do we anticipate that the Leave No Trace items are going to continue to be an ongoing major service, or are you planning for enough education that eventually people will comply enough and there won't be much to do?
Too many,
Turnover.
every week there's a change turnover.
And as soon as you let up,
They're going to start leaving it.
it'll come back.
Now, we do have a lot of people repeating from year to year to year. but
Yeah, but if they realize it's not being done, then it'll pick back up.
It's kind of like some of our other ordinances that we put in place and did well, making sure they were complied with, and then we forgot about it, and they're not complied with today.
All right.
Benevolent dictatorship.
I think it's gonna be a long-term program. We gotta get started.
Run again.
It's time to start. So I think the enforcement Leave No Trace, I would certainly be in favor of that. And a 4-day, I'd be in favor of that too. That's a good start. We could go up or down as long as our contractor could be a little flexible.
Well, I am sure that if we wanted 5 days or 6, he would not bulk up that.
Complaint.
No.
What about our
Honestly,
commercial?
So 4 days, now we're looking at how many months should I approach CDC?
6,
6 months,
What, June?
starting
May, June, July, August, and September.
Yeah, that's.
May, June,
That's
July,
fine.
August, September,
Yeah,
maybe even April, I don't know. Spring breaks for the local schools start in April, we're crowded in April.
But take into consideration now, schools go back so early in August.
Some, you
Yeah,
know,
by the
local,
7th of August, it's like a ghost town.
And then,
Yeah.
and then you've got Labor Day weekend, and then it's dead. So most of September you don't need.
but September, isn't Labor Day in September?
I
Yes.
said, after Labor Day weekend, that Tuesday, it was all off. So most of September is dead.
We're just going to play that by ear.
I'd say the last 2 weeks of September, last year I noticed a drastic change from the last day of September to the first of October. It was night and day. Coming to work at that point.
You could still do two, you know, we're saying months because that's what we're counting, but it doesn't mean you couldn't use the last 2 weeks of May, you know, or, pardon me, the last 2 weeks of April.
And the first
and
2 weeks of May.
of September.
September, yeah. I don't represent a majority of the vacation rentals in Mexico Beach, but the strange thing is, we fill up in March, and we don't quit being full until the end of September. It's odd, maybe, and then winter is dead,
Thank you.
very dead, but that's just our history, and we've been doing it about 4 years. But we go full like next week, and that's it for the whole summer. That's very strange.
4 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 5 months, 24,000.
Okay?
Plus whatever the turtle and the placards. Do we know what they're gonna cost?
And the what?
The door hangers for our market?
Oh, door hangers will be $400.
$400.
Okay.
And
We'll figure that
the
out.
beach signs are a lot more than that. There are about 50 of them.
Yeah.
I
Signage.
don't know the number of that.
I would say 35,000 without turtle.
And then we still need some money for intern.
Where did it go from 24 to 35 without turtle? What happened? Where did that 11,000 come?
Well, you got 4 weeks a month when actually you're gonna have an additional 2 for 1,200, which is 2,400.
Yeah.
Plus your signage last time
Oh,
cost
okay,
me
so
5,000.
you want CDC to pay for the signage?
Well, I'm just
too.
giving
Okay,
total
okay,
cost. I don't
okay.
care who's paying for it. I'm just
Okay.
giving you the cost of what it's.
And we actually came up with an off-the-cuff number based on percentages, and it was 42 something.
Well, does the city have money for the signage? Or how much do you want me to ask CDC? I can, you know, I can justify the 24,000. Do you want me to add the signage costs, or is the city going to provide that?
Wasn't a city budgeted item, so if you could ask for it, that'd be good. But
Okay.
I'd have to ask Philip what that is going to be.
So just let me know the signage cost, okay?
Now, we already received a small amount from the CDC for beach rate.
And we're
They're
still
already in
gonna
on
have
that.
to beach rate. And we're still gonna have to beach rate, because we're keeping that as our
Right.
responsibility.
And sanitation, and I didn't know this, but other employees other than the garbage department pick up the beach trash. It's spread between the maintenance department, road department, whoever's available to get on the wagon that day is how we do that. And we don't worry about departments, we worry about bodies on the sled. There should be easier this year. Somebody did a good job of making can holders. It should be easier to empty some of those.
Those cans are beautiful. We need more of them, but we have to find the source to get them.
As we're all out there, make note, there's some 5-block areas that have no cans. We need to address that.
If we're going to ask the CDC to pay for this, they say yes, are they gonna be contracting with them, or are we gonna be contracting with them? Who's gonna be the payer of this contract?
He explained the other night that the county pays him, but it's like a mutual contact with TDC / the county. Their actual reimbursement comes
Well,
from the
if
county.
the county's going to pay them, that's who CDC's funding is through, so are they gonna just increase that bill, or are we gonna pay them?
Better legal question.
I'm just trying to think budget amendment wise, if we're doing the budget amendment next week for banners, let's do them together. I need to know if I need to put it in or not.
I think it could be either way. I also think maybe their relationships can be kind of confusing. I'm not totally sure that they got it right when they were explaining it to you. And it wouldn't surprise me a bit if that's a CBB contract, which is actually separate from the county. County funds the CBB.
Could you run that down for us, please?
Last week, Philip said that the signs would be paid from the road department.
Or could be?
No, he said would be, but,
That would take the council to approve that. That's another go. Okay, so so we need to go back to the vendor and tell him what we're talking about. Another good point you just brought up, you know, this trash pickup thing on their side. Right now, we don't have to go but once a week. That's plenty for the beach. And that's something that we need to look at as it builds. So it'd be good to actually say how many cans we emptied and keep our own numerical record on that. And when we did it, it'd be important. Because tipping is in addition to emptying on that contract as well.
why don't y'all approach the art club at Port St. Joe High School again and see if they would be willing to paint you another 50 cans?
We don't have them.
Oh,
And I know I put an in search of on Facebook looking for them. And we did get a couple, but they are so far away from here. And Philip said it would be a day trip for somebody to go out and pick them up and get them back here. And he felt that his time was better used with the guys. But I can do it again. I can put it back on there. But I'm sure they would be willing to do it. We just don't have the cans.
how much do those cans cost?
We budgeted 10,000 for the last purchase. It was budgeted.
Purchase of the cans?
They're between $25 and $30.
$25 and $30.
For a 32-gallon Rubbermaid.
But if they're $30 a piece and you get 50 of them,
$1,500.
yeah, so why do we budget 10,000?
I don't know, doesn't add. Maybe I'm incorrect. I don't think so. I
I
bought some
don't
cans.
think that they were Rubbermaid, but I don't know.
And they're not 32 gallon, they're
No.
like 55.
Yeah,
They're the big ones.
yeah,
Some of
yeah,
them,
yeah.
some of them are big ones, but we've got regular trash cans out there too on poles.
So if anybody knows where we can get some more, let Philip know.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. We do have some big ones.
That's the ones they painted, were the big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the ones over by 2 cans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
down by the pier.
okay. So we've got grassroots effort here.
All right, so I will wait to see what the signage cost will be. And if we need to talk with Mr. Rogers before I write this letter for CDC, let me know price-wise and what the signage cost was, and then I'll present it to CDC. She always likes to have it by next Monday, so if we can get that info by Friday.
Also try to track down the turtle cost too.
Okay,
Don't know that.
all righty.
I will not put it in the budget amendment for next year, because we have too many unknowns.
That's right, because there could be some other funding that shows up as well, so we'll figure that out.
Okay.
Any other miscellaneous?
Tom, I thought since we're on this, were we going to talk about our businesses that are on the beach and what they're going to do with their...
Slip right past that one. I'm a little bit on the fence, personally. Hector's been here for 13 years. He's got a good business. But I've got a little feedback from others. I can tell you what city workers think.
My feeling is if I've got to pick my stuff up and take it home, so does he.
Well, that's what I exactly talked to Hector about, that you can't leave this stuff out here. And even an an idea, move this stuff back against the wall. No, I don't want to do that. That'll cause beach erosion. I don't want to do that. It's a concrete wall. But he didn't want to move them off the beach, period. Our city workers have only come contacted by one, but talked to a couple of others directly. He said, please make him move that stuff off the beach. We can't get through there. That's his position. He's got too much stuff out there. It may be good for the old governor, but it's not good for our beach.
Well, again, I think that if we're going to have our visitors move the stuff and they don't see the businesses move the stuff, that doesn't give the right idea to what we're trying to do either. I think everyone should move it.
If I could I just add my comment on this? One thing I ask that you please keep in mind with Hector, we use a lot of his equipment for our beach rescues, water rescues, all that type of stuff. Just please keep that in consideration when we're discussing this. Having some of that stuff on the beach saves us a lot of time instead of having to grab it, get it on the beach, and then into the water. Having it right there really makes it easier for us and them when it comes to that. I just ask that you please keep that in mind.
Can you designate what those items would be, so as we talk to him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can get you a list of everything down there that we use.
Basically, it's a jet ski there.
Jet skis, some of his paddle boards, life jackets, depending how far out we're going or that type of stuff. But I can compile a list of stuff that we have used or that they keep. They do keep some of our stuff in their hut down there. They're usually the ones that'll respond to get the jet ski in the water. We jump on with them, they drive. So we do keep some of our stuff there just to have it ready and on the jet ski to go right away. I think you're talking more about the chairs and stuff like that, just in consideration the other items that we may need.
Yeah, well, let's compare and contrast just a second. The playground at Toucans, it's way up off the beach. It's literally on their property next to their building. It's sandy, but the playground is not in the way. It's a permanently installed item, and it's part of their business. Again, way away from the beach. The net ain't that big a deal, honestly. It is on the beach, but it's way up on the beach. Again, go down and look. It's not on the beach. It's kind of up behind their place. And honestly, that net is not a big deal. I thought it might be. I don't think it is. And that's not an exceptional policy. It's literally not on the regular public beach. It's up by the business. If you use that same logic, can you apply that to the old governor if it's up against the concrete wall?
Well, I have no problem with the playground or the volleyball net at Toucans to stay there. Now, does Hector he used to take off the jet skis every night. He doesn't anymore. I mean, years ago, he used to take them off every night.
I believe right now he just parks them up against that cement wall that is over there.
They were there this week.
So if he moves and I don't know, maybe we need to make an exception for these businesses. I hate to start making exceptions, but maybe we can just, I'm throwing this out, it's not set in stone, Lisa. I'm just throwing this out, that we don't want to have him feel that he's not welcome. He's been here 13 years. It's a business. If he can put it next to the building, away from, clear the beach off, including all the wooden chairs, his lounge chairs, stack them up next to the building every night, bring them out every morning. Maybe we can live with that. I don't know. Some of you are down at the beach at that end more than I am, so.
The area directly in front of the El Governor Hotel is public beach. It's the one part in front of the annex that's the private beach. So the question is, the benches and the chairs are on the public part.
Beach.
So if they were to take them off the public part, put them on the private part, would that be acceptable?
That's a good question, and I'm glad our lawyer's here. Even though they may claim ownership of the beach behind their building, isn't there sufficient case law to say that the the municipality still has control of the private beach.
You do, and unless they have some unusual evidence of title, they may have what most of the other beachfront owners have, which is, it's exactly right. It's an ownership interest, but it's subject to public use and the city's regulation. I know that the leave no trace ordinance was meant to kind of follow in the footsteps of what other nearby beaches have. I apologize, I don't have a grasp of what all their rules say on this, but and I can find out. It's not difficult, but I do know just from experience that some items do stay out overnight, but they're more substantial, more permanent type items. The way they handle chairs, they have heavy wooden frame, they take in the cushions and anything that might blow around overnight, but the frames stay out. I know that they have, and this is Bay County, Panama City Beach, they have some vendor kind of booths slash maybe huts that close up. I think they store things in there. So I don't know if that's what you want, but there is kind of a model we could look at and follow. I don't know of anybody who leaves something like a jet ski out overnight, but we can find out about that too.
Our ordinance says personal items, so none of those items are personal. So we could get away with it by that, because that's what the ordinance says, your personal items.
But it also says personal items like beach chairs.
Personal items, though, that's the key words. Yeah, it could be the key word, how you interpret it. It could be the key word.
Yeah. I don't think we're talking about one that weighs 300 pounds. I mean, those heavy wooden, we have a storm at night, it's not gonna wash it out. Worst case. How many businesses do we have that use chairs like this? 2? I say grandfather them in, forget about it. I mean, in reason.
I'm comfortable with that if we decide to
Sure,
say.
the ordinance really allows that.
There's no provision for that I know of.
What do we have provisions for? Nothing.
Even if it says personal?
You don't own the beach. It's public beach. Ordinance says public beach.
Yeah, but the ordinance says personal items.
Like personal items, I think, but I don't think that's the point of the ordinance, is to leave no trace on the beach. Again, I'm not looking for a real hard line here, but I kind of agree with you, Bill. And that's what I told Hector. You can't just put all your stuff down here and leave. It's a new ordinance that says you can't do that. And it's one that we had to approve by a referendum.
Do you need, the jet skis you don't need at night?
We
No.
used them at night before.
Really?
For water rescues.
How do you find people in the dark on a jet ski?
Watch lights, we make it work. If it's a boat, if there's lights on the boat, anything like that, we'd absolutely use them at night.
I think all our water rescues in calendar year 16 were Hector's.
Well, we-
went out.
But we really don't have anyone certified in water rescue, right?
We're all trained, we just don't have the equipment to be able to do it ourselves. But we retrain on it every year.
Budget item. Okay. Without Hector, we have no water rescue.
Correct.
We don't have a jet ski.
And he goes almost into Tyndall, almost out to where it connects to the Tyndall. Our drowning last year, he was the one that popped it in. It was his guys. So
Pretty good.
he went out, I want to say a mile or so out of water to bring him in.
It's not easy to solve.
So maybe we can think about keeping some items, if we're not gonna let them keep everything, if the emergency vehicles or his vehicles that we could use for emergency, maybe we could work that into, keep alongside the building. If they have to move the chairs off every day,
How long can it be before we make another ordinance? How long does this ordinance have to be in existence before we can say, okay, here's some changes to that ordinance?
It takes a couple of months to change an ordinance.
Let's get
And
started.
this particular one requires public hearings because of the referendum.
Oh. Well,
What about, we can't decide it tonight, so what about being able to go back to Hector and say, look, I know you don't want to, but here's our dilemma.
I'm sorry?
But going back to Hector and say, I know you don't want to move everything off the beach, and we understand. But our dilemma is, we have this ordinance that says we have to. How are you gonna work with us? It's not, how can we really work with you? Because we have to enforce this. How are you gonna work with us so we can help you, and leave some of the items behind, or maybe where you can put them and so forth? And, he's gonna have to make a decision instead of us making a decision for him.
Have them produce the document and proof that states they own the beach like they insist they do. That'll solve it all.
If you would.
If he produces the proof that they own the beach like they keep claiming, that'll solve it all.
Well, to an extent, pretty much all beachfront owners own the beach, but it would be interesting to see. It sounds like they're saying they have kind of extra rights, see what they have, and just take a look at it.
if they did, they could bring things back to the concrete.
Adrian, we still don't understand.
Y'all use your microphone, please. You're mumbling.
You never say that about me.
I agreed that it would be useful to look at whatever evidence of title they have to see if it's something that's beyond what just every homeowner on the beach has, or if it's something more special that would provide them additional rights.
I'd like to point out that Wiley has not come to me and said, this is a problem for me. I've actually tried to contact him twice and we're just missing each other. I have talked to Hector. And remember, these are two different animals. What El Governor wants for their property, and Hector, a contractor that the council approved to be on the beach. And actually, the council could say, Hector, you cannot go back to the beach again. And that would be an extreme measure, but that's the way it is. But I would have thought that you were at the same meeting that I was at with Hector, which lasted some 20 minutes. That's exactly the conversation. Come back to me, offer me something that we might could work with, because we've got to work this out. And there is no easy. He, as a business person, would like to have everything on the beach all the time just the way he wants it. The ordinance says he cannot do that. And I want to say this again for the record. I am not in favor of even approaching an amendment to this ordinance this quick.
No. So let's ask Wiley for El Governor if they can come up with their plat to see what they actually own. If they own it, then it's a moot point. You can pull it all up against the building and that's it.
I think they're going to own it. I think that basically every homeowner owns the majority of the dry sandy beach. Just interested if they have something that's out of the ordinary that they would rely on.
Yeah. So why don't we ask him?
I'll ask, I'm going to talk to him anyway.
And
about
get it in writing
the
what he
relationship.
has. Yeah.
I'll ask him for that document, and I'll give it to the attorney.
The other thing is, you said there's two businesses. The other business doesn't seem to,
It's the Driftwood, to be honest
Right.
with you. They had those same loungers on the dune. And they're not a licensed business for that, but it's right
That's
behind their property.
okay.
I'm sure it belonged to them. It said these are for rent with a phone number on them, so. But they obviously weren't the same as Hector's, but they were the same heavy wooden, but it's only like 6.
So they would have to be removed to whomever owns that business, okay,
But they're not licensed by the city, as far as I know,
okay.
to do that. Okay? Good enough for today? Good. Anything else on miscellaneous?
I just have one more thing. Happy birthday, Mel.
Yes. Get out of
Happy
town.
birthday.
What a wonderful day.
Where's the cake?
He ate it.
Supposed to bring a cake with you.
Would you like Rex to sing?
I would love for him to say. Don't do that. Make sure you do it in the mic though, for the people in the back.
Please review the agenda. 3 times.
It is the usual scheduled appearances. Under public hearing, there's variance requests. Do you want to do the action right after it? Or do you want it in other business?
We could actually hold both public hearings and then both actions,
Public hearing, action, public hearing, action.
or public hearing, action. Open one and then open the other.
Okay. Then you have a second reading of the moratorium on marijuana.
Okay.
A second reading for the canal slip fees. A resolution for the canal slip fee, which changes it to give us the ability to do the slips. There will be a ordinance for a budget amendment for the banners, and then reports.
There's only one thing that we didn't talk about, and it doesn't need to be talked about, but I meant to ask Jeff to give the report on this. We've made significant progress today on the alternate water source. I'll just ask him to put it in his report to tell the public. We're actually going to be drilling wells over there at Wallace Pump. But that's a good move forward. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I still.
Now it goes off.
I know it.